Waheguru Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ki Fateh. Today is a very important day for Sikhs in protecting our rights to bear arms and to protect ourselves from attackers, like happened in Wisconsin last year when that hate monger attacked Sikhs at the Sikh temple there and killed 6 Sikhs. Today, in California, they are posed to pass the most restrictive gun laws in the country. And I want to urge Sikhs to write the state assembly and tell them to stop not pass these restrictive gun laws. Now I want to read for you a bulletin from the National Rifle Association on this very subject. It says here, California, critical committee vote soon on package of drastic anti-gun legislation. On Friday, August 30th, the Assembly Appropriations Committee will be holding a series of historic votes on gun rights in California. Currently, the following bills are in this committee suspense file due to the excessive cost of millions of dollars for implementation being imposed on you and the other citizens of California. This is the first bill. Senate Bill 47 would ban the use of the bullet button on semi-automatic rifles to comply with the current law and classify firearms with bullet buttons as assault weapons and ban their future sale, transfer. Continued legal possession by you would require that you register and pay a fee tax on all your semi-autos with bullet buttons. Okay, so let me show you a couple examples of this semi-automatic rifles and this bullet button they're talking about. Now I want to point out here, this is what's called a Mini 14. It's a semi-automatic rifle which is currently legal in California. And this would have been essential to have to fight off attackers at the Wisconsin Gurdwara there a year ago. If somebody there had one of these, it would have been able to stop that attacker who, by the way, had a magazine that held 20 rounds in there. And so if someone would have been trained with a semi-automatic rifle like this, they could have easily got this from a closed locked place and gotten the weapon and stopped that guy who was there in the Gurdwara shooting innocent Sikhs. So this is capable of holding about 20 to 30 rounds, but with the legislation that's going to be passed, these would be illegal, the ones in California. So I encourage Sikhs to write the state assembly and tell them not to pass these laws to restrict these kind of guns. And it's actually restricting our ability as Sikhs to defend ourselves, is what it's doing. Here's another weapon here that has this button they're talking about. This is a .45 caliber automatic handgun, semi-automatic handgun that is. And I just purchased this actually. This is specifically for self-defense. And it would make it illegal to have this where they have the button where the magazine comes out like this. So this would be also illegal to have this type of weapon in California. Let's move on to the next bill that we want to challenge. This is Senate Bill 53, would require Californians to obtain a permit before purchasing ammunition, require a background check before every future ammunition purchase, and require registration of all ammunition that you purchase. Now, as a shooter for many years, I participate in small bore rifle shooting, and we go through thousands of rounds of ammunition shooting for these competitive marksmanship events. This would restrict our ability to buy ammunition from out of state. We'd have to register whenever you buy 3,000 more rounds of ammunition. And so we want to stop this type of legislation. It only serves to put the guns and ammunition into the hands of criminals because it's restricting our rights as law-abiding citizens. We law-abiding citizens have the right to have these arms and to have ammunition too, as much as we need. But this is restricting our ability to be able to do that. Senate Bill 374 would ban the future sale, transfer, and classify all semi-automatic rifles with a detachable magazine or holding more than 10 rounds of ammunition as assault weapons. Continued legal possession would require that you register and pay a fee on all your semi-automatic autos newly classified as assault weapons. Okay, so this is again what I'm talking about here with the semi-automatic rifle, which are currently legal in California, but California wants to pass these most restrictive gun laws, which would restrict our ability to defend ourselves. Now, I want to point out for Sikhs that this is particularly important that we be able to defend ourselves. As I pointed out in the Wisconsin shootings a year ago, 6 Sikhs were killed by this madman who just carried in a handgun into the Gurdwara there, the Sikh temple there, and started shooting. Now, these laws are not going to stop these criminals from doing that type of thing. So we as law-abiding citizens need to be able to have these weapons and be able to protect ourselves. There's a long history in the Sikh tradition about defending ourselves with weapons. Guru Gobind Singh Ji, our 10th Sikh Guru, told us, don't come before me without uncut hair and weapons. That we should all be proficient with weapons and firearms so that we can defend ourselves and defend those that can't defend themselves. Now, I think that this will be particularly important and pertinent in modern times to have firearms and be trained in them in self-defense. Wherever you have the ability to get these concealed carry weapons licenses, you should do that. You should contact your local authorities and find out what the laws are in your states. California currently now has the ability to be able to get this concealed weapons license. Some of the counties, some of the sheriffs are not cooperating with this, however. So we need to also write the California Assembly and tell them to tell these county sheriffs to comply with the law. Fortunately, here where I live in Sutter County, they've been very cooperative, and it only takes about 2 weeks to get that with the background check and to take the training and all of that. So again, for Sikhs that live in California, check out this ability to be able to get this concealed weapons license. And talk to your Gurdwara committees about training with firearms. I think that in the future, if there are ever any kind of terrorist attacks on the United States, Sikhs will be particularly susceptible to attacks by people that would hate us because they might identify us as terrorists. We have this look-alike feature where we have beards and turbans that make us look like the Taliban, who might be the most likely terrorist that would attack the United States. They might even go as far as getting nuclear materials and launching an atomic bomb, blasting off an atomic bomb in some city. So I can assure you there would be definitely retributions against Sikhs because people would misidentify us as these terrorists. So we need to be armed with weapons and have self-defense and training like this. If the state of California passes these laws, we won't be able to have these semi-automatic rifles. We won't be able to have these detachable magazines, which are essential for protecting ourselves. It's an essential part that if you are being attacked by somebody who has these automatic or semi-automatic weapons, which the criminals all have, and they're not going to stop or give them up just because it makes it illegal in the state of California, you need to be able to defend yourself with matching firearms that will be effective in stopping that and deterring those attackers. Again, it's part of our history. We need to defend ourselves. We can't be reliant on the police who, in a terrorist situation, would be overwhelmed with calls if there was ever an attack on the United States like that. They wouldn't be able to respond quickly enough to protect everybody. So Sikhs can also look towards the experiences that have been happening in India recently. There have been hate mongers against Sikhs there in India who have beheaded Sikhs, innocent Sikhs. And I don't need to remind you about the 1984 massacre of Sikhs in India. After Indira Gandhi was killed, this Hindu Vata death squads, they went out and murdered and killed Sikhs in the streets. And the Sikhs were not armed with weapons because the government took them away. We don't want that to happen here in the United States. We don't want this to happen in California, where our weapons and our self-defense firearms are taken away by the state. Believe me, this is just a first step where California makes you register these things, these semi-automatic rifles, and then the next step will be to come to your door and take them away from you, because now they'll know where they are and who has them after you register them. That's the plan. And so we need to stop this action, and we need to write our assemblyman. Let me give you some names and addresses and phone numbers to call. The Speaker of the Assembly in California is John Perez. His phone number is 916-319-2053. His email address I'll post in the description of this video below. So write the assemblyman, call them. This bill is being passed this week, or being considered this week, I should say. And today it is essential that we all write them. All Sikhs everywhere in all the world should write them and tell them that we need to be able to defend ourselves. And we, as law-abiding citizens, we don't want our firearms taken away from us. Thank you for your time. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.